back for Black and Curious. I'm Kendrin.
What up, what up? It is Deja. How y'all doing?
Hello. If you've never been here before, we do a cross-section of pop culture in real life. If that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and subscribe to our channel and like this video in advance. Today, we are talking Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Now, I know that we have not been covering this at all this season. However,
It was good.
it was good, and we have thoughts. So, let's get into it.
Dorit is an undercover racist. And she's undercover to herself.
Only to herself.
Yeah.
I also noticed Dorit this season. Did you notice her? I think it's her glam, or maybe her assistant is Black this season. I was just like,
Girl.
Mm-hmm.
Girl. Whatever. I just am like, Dorit's privilege does not afford her the ability to be self-aware. And she's not interested in becoming self-aware. She says that she is, but the way she presented this whole season is like, this is who I am. I am not what you're saying I am, while also still acting in this privileged, like, I don't know the correct words, but yeah.
I'm gonna give Dorit a tiny bit of credit. I don't like Dorit, so me giving her a little bit of credit is saying a lot, okay?
Hello, that's why I'm in the camera like.
Right. I do think that she is sort of a undercover racist. She does racist stuff a lot. I don't know if she actually intends it. She's very Karen-y. She's very Karen-y, and let me say this. Even to the extent that she had the interaction with Crystal and calling her like a child bride or whatever, I felt like she gave a genuine apology. That's the credit I'm going to give her, is I felt that she gave her a genuine apology. And with regard to Garcelle, I think it's a little bit different because people have been telling her now for like 2 or 3 seasons, ma'am, you cannot say a Black woman attacked you when you just didn't like something that they said, or that they're calling you to the carpet, or whatever the case may be, or they don't like you. Like, you can't just say that somebody attacked you. And to Garcelle's point, like, you know what an attack feels like. You have actually been attacked. So how can you say that in the same breath as what we have gone through? That's not the same thing. But I felt like with Crystal, she was kind of like, that was a landmine. She didn't say it in these words, but she was just kind of like, that was a landmine, and I didn't see that one coming. And I'm sorry, and I will do better. Now, will she do better? I don't know, because she ain't done better with Garcelle. But I felt that she gave an apology.
Even then, with them having that conversation, there was a point where Crystal and Dorit were going back and forth, and Crystal said something, I can't remember exactly what it was that she said, and Garcelle was like, see, this is exactly what we're trying to explain to you. This is happening right now. This is it. Yeah. I don't remember what was going back and forth at the time, but I guess at that point is when it hit her that, ooh, like you said, I walked into a landmine. Let me just own it and apologize. I don't know that there was a whole lot of owning going on. I still feel like when I say that she's an undercover racist, I mean that to the extent that she is not intentionally racist to her castmates or to other people. It is unbeknownst to herself that she's doing these things that are problematic, racially problematic.
And also, I think, what do I want to say here? I think I'll give you an example. So in one of my early jobs, I said something. I was like making a joke about somebody who had a thick accent when they came over the speaker to say that there was a fire, not a fire, but a fire drill happening. And I was just like, I got called up on it. And when I spoke to them, I was like, I'm Black. I wouldn't do that intentionally. And I think Dorit suffers a bit from that, in that she's saying, like, I'm Jewish. I wouldn't do that intentionally. I was teased. I know what it feels like to be teased and to be whatever. And I'm Jewish. I wouldn't do that, but it doesn't quite land. Is what I'm saying. And I don't think that she does the work to try to do better. I think every single time, whereas for me, right, I'm like, I'm just not gonna make comments like that at all. Like that was not okay. I shouldn't have done that. I was young, I was stupid. But like I feel like Dorit is gonna have to be called out every single time instead of learning the lesson and being like, maybe I shouldn't say that.
I mean, and I won't sit here and pretend that like I am not guilty of saying things that can not land well and or possibly have been inappropriate, because I do it all. I will admit I do it all the time without thinking about it, but it's not to the extent where once it's said I'm so unaware. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's the piece that's missing.
But my point with saying that story was like, I feel like Dorit, even though she presents as like just this rich white lady, I think she still sees herself very much as a part of a oppressed minority, so to speak.
I'm not touching that with a long-handled spoon.
Especially based on what she was saying and like the conversation that she was having with Garcelle about how she grew up and her being teased and all of that stuff. I think she still sees herself as that person as opposed to being a rich white lady in Beverly Hills. That's my opinion. I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's what I get from her. And I'm not defending Dorit because I don't like Dorit, but I do see her making a lot of like silly mistakes. And I see her trying to own up to it, but it's a lot of learning that she is not trying to do on her own. And she still sees herself a certain way. That's what I'm saying.
And not only that, but her life affords her the ability to not have to see it and deal with it, you know?
Absolutely. And I think that was Garcelle's point, was like, dude, you don't have to see a lot of this stuff. And you don't try to. You're sheltered. You have your own little bubble. Whether that was your case or not growing up, right now you're in your Beverly Hills bubble and you don't have to deal with any of the rest of this. So let's move on before we get ourselves into some trouble.
Yeah. I'm not touching none of that with a long handled spoon. No, thank you. And I
did okay. I wasn't offensive, right?
No. I don't think so, but hell, I'm the offensive one of the group.
Okay, well then let's move on. While we're scot-free, let's move on.
Okay. So Annemarie.
Okay.
Damn it. And see, this is why I said I'm the offensive one, because how do I... Okay, so taking a page out of Jada XD's book.
Okay.
I put Annemarie in our outline as the tragic mulatto.
Okay.
And I put that in there because, girl, what is going on? She wanted to check Garcelle because the person that came to Annemarie's defense when she was going back and forth with Crystal was Dorit. And her thing was, what she was trying to say was that Dorit couldn't possibly be racist or whatever the case may be, or whatever. And so she was wanting for Garcelle, the other Black woman on the cast, to come to her defense. And Garcelle was like, girl, at the time that all this was happening, you was swinging in the trenches. You was handling yourself just fine. There was no need for me to come to your defense or to interject myself into something between the two of you. I was just standing there watching y'all swing a tennis match.
Yeah, this was a conversation between her and Crystal, right?
Yes.
That she was upset about. Yes. Okay.
So she starts to like, that's why I called her the tragic mulatto, because it wasn't until that point that I was like, oh, I get it now. Like,
okay.
I'm trying so hard to not say anything problematic.
Well, let me say this. Okay, let me jump in a little bit. So, I thought Annemarie, even though she was problematic in her own ways, I thought she brought something fresh to the season, which I appreciated.
Yeah, I enjoyed her until that reunion moment.
But her asking Garcelle to like jump in the mix, it's like, girl, for what?
And that's what Garcelle's point was. It wasn't a thing of like you weren't able to defend yourself and you weren't expressing your point of view to the point where the other person wasn't receiving it. Like both of you were going at each other. This instance with Darcelle, Lord, with Garcelle and Dorit is totally different. It is not the same thing. But like,
and I think the magnitude was different as well. Like the magnitude was of, you know, Dorit saying racist things and other people having to jump in, including Erika being like, girl, you can't say that to a black lady. Like, come on.
And when Erika is the voice of reason, I'm like, you know what? More and more this season, I'm really messing with Erika. Okay.
Listen, I like Erika. I always have. And I've been saying this from the beginning. I don't know if I've been saying it here from the beginning, but I think Erika got a raw deal. We'll get back to her. But but yeah, like her expecting Garcelle to jump in the mix to defend her credentials, which she has been flip-flopping on. It's kind of like,
I'm just like, girl, it just didn't make it gave me very like the tears. Remember we had this conversation before about the tears, and I'm not gonna call y'all know what the tears are, but that's what it gave me, which is why I dubbed her Tragic Mulatto. Because you want to, you know, I'm a black woman and tote all of this black woman power and want the support, but then turn around and you're supporting the ignorance of the white woman sitting next to you and saying that this woman has stuck up for you. And because you're supporting her ignorance because she stuck up for you when you were doing just fine. Make it make sense.
Let's talk about Crystal right quick, because Crystal ain't never had much to say except for to Annemarie, which kind of didn't land that good with me.
And Sutton. Because she went at it with Sutton too.
Oh, she did go out with Sutton. She did go at it with Sutton a few seasons ago.
I did catch that season. Well, some of the snippets of it.
She did. She did. I give you. You're right about that. But I don't feel like she's ever really got back with somebody like she's gotten back with Annemarie. And I wonder if it's because Annemarie is so new on the show. So she feels like they're kind of on the same level versus these other ladies who are more established on the show. And she's kind of like, I don't want it with them.
I think that she said it, that literally that what it was, because what I thought it was the anorexia comment, not anorexia, but the eating disorder commentary. The eating disorder. It was. That really triggered her in a way to really just want to keep going at her. I don't know that it has anything to do with her being such a newbie as much as it was a trigger that Crystal carries already, always feeling like the bigger woman on the show because all the women have gotten so much skinnier thanks to Ozempic and all of that. And so she probably was already feeling super self-conscious, and then to have this touted out about someone who's even smaller than she is just made it worse.
Fair enough. Yeah, you're right. But I don't think she's the bigger one on the show.
She's not, but compared to them,
like a very normal size. She looks normal.
But Sutton and Kyle and Erika are all stick figures. And Dorit?
Sutton is not a stick figure.
Sutton is tiny. This last season,
I'm not going to say what
Kyle and Erika and Dorit, but she's small.
Okay. Fair.
So I think that's more of what the issue was, not so much that she wanted to stand up for, like, it's like she took up the mantle for Sutton, but it was, you know, she got hit by a stray and wanted to do something about it.
Yeah. And honestly, we talked about this previously with, I think we did an episode about where we mentioned the housewives and Ozempic, especially with New Jersey, because I forget her name on New Jersey, but she also had like eating disorder issues, and she spoke about it very clearly and being able to say, and being able to say, like, you know, I want you all to be happy, basically, but just be careful of what happens, you know, after you're done with this, or if, you know what I mean, like what the maintenance is for this, and like, you know, what's going to happen afterwards. And I don't think Crystal is handling it with as much grace as the other lady did.
No.
Seems like she very much got triggered. Why can't I remember her name? But you know who I'm talking about. I'll link the video up in the cards. Who else haven't we talked about? Let's move on to Sutton. We're right there.
Sutton, I enjoyed Sutton this season. She let her hair down. She went on a couple of dates. And she's feeling more like substantially comfortable in herself in ways that I've not noticed her to be in previous seasons. I really did not enjoy her before. But this season
I just thought she was kind of kooky and weird.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay, this is a background. One of my favorite shows is Designing Women. It wasn't my favorite show before, like a long time ago, like when it first came out. But as you know, I had an incident over one weekend where I was like couch bound because I was incredibly hungover essentially. But and it was like a Designing Women marathon on, and I was just like, this is hilarious. And so I think I like Sutton because she looks like she should be on Designing Women, honestly.
I concur. Yeah, I can see that.
Like she feels like she could have been like Julia and Suzanne's like cousin or something. You know what I mean?
Funny enough, I have been watching Designing Women with my my parents because they have decided to start watching it. So every now and again, I'll watch an episode.
Funny. It's so chaotic and so problematic. It would never get made this year. At this time in our life, Suzanne Sugarbaker would never exist, and I'm just happy that she did. All right, so that was Sutton.
Erika and Kyle are the last on our list.
Let's do Erika
Kyle for last. Yeah,
let's do that. Yeah, I always thought, even amidst all of the chaos and foolishness, right, and Tom Girardi and all of his fraud and things. Go back. I always thought that Erika kind of got a raw deal because I felt like they were looking at her for all this money because she spent it. I mean, she spent the money, let's be clear. But I don't know how much she knew, and I never knew how much she knew. And I feel like
why would she know? She was a housewife just like the rest of you. And his business was in law. She wouldn't have understood any of that anyway. She doesn't have a legal degree. Or a degree of any kind, right?
Yes. So like, and then with Kyle being on the bus, we'll come back to Kyle, of course, but she was on the bus during their trip being like, she didn't read anything Mauricio gave her either. And I'm just like, this is how it happens. And I'm sure this is what happened to Erika. Like, she just didn't read. So I always felt like Erika kind of got a raw deal. Like, she didn't actively participate in fraud, in my opinion. So the thing with her earrings, so like the thing, of course, like when they were in Spain, I think it was, she gets this ruling that the judge is like, I don't really know what happened to the earrings. Were the earrings from the money or were they not from the money? And her stance has kind of always been like, let's let it all play out. And Garcelle and the other women are kind of like, you should just give it back off of GP. And she's like, I'm not, because I don't know where this money came from. And I think two things can be true at once. I think, would it be the noble thing for the earrings toward the victims? Yes. But also, like, she worked too, and she was performing too, and she did other things too. So, like, maybe they came from her money. And like, if nobody's gonna make her give it back, I don't necessarily see anything. Like, I don't see a problem with her fighting for her money as well, to be able to get something out of it as well. That's all I'm saying.
I'm with you. I'm of two minds. Like, for the good of those who did not receive what they were supposed to, you donate your earrings to cover their expenses or whatever. But at the same time, she is also equally innocent, and having not known the ins and outs of Tom's businesses and what he was doing with the money and how the money trickled into their household. Yeah, like, it's not fair to hold her responsible for all of the crimes he committed.
I agree. So, but I did think it was a little odd for her to think that Garcelle was going to change her mind about it, because it was like, girl, Garcelle is not wrong, and she's not saying that you were she's wrong. Not saying that you had anything to do with it. She's just saying, off GP, you should give the earrings back, and you're saying no. So y'all just agree to disagree and move on. Like, you can't expect, yeah, like, you can't expect Garcelle to like change her mind on this and be groveling at your feet because you were right. Like, girl, she's not going to do that.
So she's not invested.
It's not.
Kyle. What an interesting world to be in, to find your voice and independence whilst being in your 50s, a housewife, and on a reality show. That's a crazy, like, wow.
Well, we've seen it happen before.
Who? Who like
Yeah.
that?
What is that lady's name? I am trying to find it. Housewives of OC.
Vicky?
Oh man. Yes. Yes. This exact thing happened on
You know what? You're
Housewives of
right. But
Orange County.
she divorced her husband and then went off on this. Yeah, she divorced him. He didn't want to leave her.
No. She did not divorce him and go off on her own. She wanted to live her life, stay married. So she was canoodling with her girlfriend while she was married. And I think finally they ended up getting a divorce because, yes, because the women called her out on it. God, why can't I remember her name? I'm trying to find it. The women called her out on it and was like, well, why don't you get a divorce? You don't want to be married to him. And I think it was probably monetary, whatever the case may be. But she was just kind of like, I mean, I still love him. He's my best friend. I think eventually they did get a divorce, but that lady was very much still married when she started her relationships.
You know what? I do remember this because I want to say, like, when they really were coming at her, they were at like some casita or something like that.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's so crazy.
I'm gonna find her name.
Girl, either way, it's a wild world for me to watch the unraveling of Mauricio and Kyle, and I just feel for her. I feel like Kyle in the last 3 years has lost so much in terms of like her intimate relationships. And it's hard to I'm happy to see her as a woman be empowered in like choosing you and doing what you want to do for yourself. But it's also hard at the same time to watch her go through all of these like tragic like blows one after the other.
It was Braunwyn, Housewives of OC, but I think,
dang, that's so crazy.
I feel like though this happens, I don't know, I wouldn't say a lot, but I think this happens sometimes when people get married young. Kyle she got married young, she got divorced young, she got remarried young, have 4 more children, and I feel like she probably never had a chance to find herself. And a lot, and all commentary is alleged. Let's just say that out here right now. Okay. She never had a chance to find herself. And now her kids are grown, except Portia. Portia's the only one left in the house. Or I think the other kids are like in college and grown. One of her oldest daughter's married. So it's like she is now having the time, and it doesn't help that Mauricio is traveling all around the world here, giving her all this free time in the world with just her and Portia, and she's hurting herself, and it happens. It happens.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel because you can see she looks like she's carrying the weight of 2 worlds on her shoulders, you know?
But I also think something happened. I think something happened. I don't know what the something is.
Well, she basically said as much throughout the season that Mauricio said it's nice for it to be you accused of, stepping outside of the marriage.
No. That's not what I'm talking about. She said in one of her confessionals toward the end of the season that he broke her trust. Like he broke their trust. So I think something happened that was like the impetus for all of this, is what I think.
I agree.
The traveling and carrying on, because I think something happened. I don't know, but that's what it gave me when she was talking. So yeah, as well as her and Morgan. So it to me, it kind of alluded to like what comes first, the chicken or the egg, who cheated first, who broke trust first. But Kyle in that confessional seemed deeply broken to me. But
she seemed deeply broken this whole season to me.
And also we should say like her best friend ended her life, which would unravel me as well, to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
So I think even with the not drinking, even though I think she was a little less fun. She kind of needs a drink to loosen up, which I'm gonna need a drink to loosen up type of girl. So I get it. But it was kind of hard to watch her this season. And I hope that she's doing better with however she's processing and whatever she's going through. Because this was not the light, fluffy Kyle that we're used to for any number of reasons. And I think that her best friend passing probably also shined a light on, like, I'm not going to continue to live like this if I'm not happy. Like, it can be all over at one time. You know what I mean?
Nobody's promised tomorrow.
Yeah. So I hope for the best for Kyle, even though she has gotten on my nerves over the years. My God. But I don't want to see anybody go out like that. You know what I mean?
No, not with all of the things that she has lost in the last few years, specifically alone. No. So y'all get down in the comments and let us know. Do you have anything else for this show?
No, that was it.
Okay.
That was it.
So y'all get down in the comments, let us know what your thoughts were if you watched this season, and if you agree with any of our points, or if you have different points of view, let us know that too. And we will see you, of course, in the next conversation. Like, comment, and subscribe. Bye, friends.
Bye.